Hi there. Welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. On this channel, we've been doing some lessons on social skills, which I think are in short supply in this day and age. You know, it's unfortunate that social skills are not taught in school. Not very much. We spend hours doing mathematical problems in schools that we will never use, skills that we will never use in life. I would argue that all those years and years of spending in the classroom doing an hour of math a day and even more mathematical homework at night is a complete waste of time. And that those hours are there to prepare you for a job that is not in existence anymore. 100 years ago, the school system had to prepare a lot of workers to sit in buildings and balance out accounts in banks because there were no computers. Someone had to be in a big building with a lot of other people with pencils and paper, literally doing adding and subtracting all day long to try to balance out the millions of bank accounts that existed and there was transactions happening on a daily basis. Also, taxes, federal and state and local. Someone had to be doing all those accounts by hand. And therefore the school system had to prepare workers to do those jobs. Mathematics done by hand. And the school system is still preparing students an hour a day, every day of their childhood, to do these jobs that do not exist. It's very sad, actually, I think, because these people get out of school and they don't have the social skills that would help them to get along with their spouse, to get along with their parents and children, to get along with their neighbors. Consequently, there's a lot of conflict in the world and and it seems to get worse every day. I think that the educational system should evolve. And this channel is a small thing that I'm trying to do to rectify the situation. I think social skills are so important. Today's social skill is about rapport, or establishing rapport. What does it mean? It means to establish common ground or agreement with others. I think that we should strive to establish rapport with each other and find common ground. Politically, you can see particularly well in this case, this is an American channel for an American audience, but the lack of rapport among the political wings in this country is probably at its most extreme. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the way the districts are drawn up on the political map is designed to have the most extreme candidates in office, representing the most extreme viewpoints and breaking rapport with people who have a different viewpoint. Consequently, we have a dysfunctional government. We should be trying to establish rapport in our relations with others the majority of the time. We should be striving to be in agreement with those people who we are dealing with the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time. We should be striving for agreement. We should be aiming, if you want to do it mathematically, since we're all trained so well in mathematics, you'd want to aim for disagreement with others about 20% of the time. Tops. It's important to establish our boundaries, but it should be done about 20% of the time. More than that, and you're going to have significant strain in your relations. If you go less than 20% disagreement, then people are not really going to really feel very good about that either, because there's not enough drama. Then there wouldn't be enough drama. People wouldn't be interested in that. shoot for about 80% of the time you're agreeing with those around you. And if you don't have that, it's either because you're being very, very disagreeable or because you have so little in common that you're just not going to get along. I'm going to give two examples, one of establishing rapport and then one of breaking rapport, to try to illustrate my point about what rapport is and why it's vital. So here's establishing rapport. This is like weaving two sets of fabric together at the edges, where the pieces of fabric, the fibers, begin to intertwine. You have something to overlap with, something to hang on to. I was at an old folks' home a couple of days ago making a delivery. And I'm in the elevator going up, and I look at the side of the elevator, and they have on there movie night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every night they played a movie at like 7 or 7:30 p.m. And it said on Monday It's a Wonderful Life. It's December. So we have these kind of movies. The Santa Claus was on Tuesday night. Miracle on 34th Street or something like that was on Wednesday night. Every night after dinner, they'd play a movie. What's the point? The point is to establish some common ground. Everyone in that facility has their own smart television. They could just sit in their room and watch. But they had a common room where people could come together and watch old movies every night. What's the point? The point is to establish a sense of common agreement, common values about Christmas, a common experience of a sense of humor, common memories that they all shared from they watched those movies with their families years and years ago. They all knew the lines of the movies because they'd seen them many times, and they all knew what was going to happen in the end. It was a common set of stories that were all woven into each person's experience, and that would bring them together in a mutual agreement. That's establishing rapport. It's something they all have in common. They all can agree this is a good movie, and they all agree that it has a nice, happy ending. Do you follow me? It's very, very basic, but it's vital for people to get along, to have some kind of common ground. All these people in this home, this nursing home, have totally different stories and different experiences and different tempers. But the movie night is a way to bring everybody together in a common experience. It's what links us together. We should be striving for these kind of experiences in our life with others. Otherwise, we're going to not do well socially at all. It's a good thing to try to find a movie that you can enjoy with somebody else, that you share, you can both understand it, and it's a common link in your experience. Now, as an example of negative rapport, a breaking rapport, something that you should be striving to do not more than 20% of the time. I was on a date with a woman a while back, not recently, and we were at a nice restaurant. She was a very nice looking woman, very classy, looked like, and very well spoken. And we go there, and somehow we got on the subject of religion on our first date, which is not a very good subject for a first date, but all right, I'm game. And she was telling me that she had gone to church or something on Sunday. I asked, okay, well, where do you go to church? And she said it was at a local, what you'd call a mega church. Thousands of people would show up at this place on any given Sunday, okay? And that's not my cup of tea. I wouldn't probably choose to go there. But I said, well, that's interesting. Who's the pastor? And, what's the doctrine? And what do they teach? What's a typical service like? I asked a few questions about it. I showed interest. I was trying to establish rapport by kind of wanting to know more about her world. And after she got done talking about it, I said, well, that's interesting. I said, I don't go to church, but I'm very interested in spiritual things. And I said, I went to a place called San Giovanni Rotondo in Italy, which was the home of a monk in Italy of the Catholic tradition by the name of Padre Pio. Very famous mystic in Italy. He passed away in the late night and sometime in the 1960s, I believe. Anyway, she showed absolutely no interest. And she more or less said, Jesus is the only way for me, or Jesus is the only one for me, something along those lines. She made it clear that she had no interest in Padre Pio and that she did not want to talk about it, and she did not want to hear about my experience. This is an example of breaking rapport. She did not want to find any common ground in terms of spirituality. She wanted to make it clear about what she believed in, and that was all she was going to. That was as far as she was going to go. This is okay, but in our relations, if you want to get along, you want to do that 20% of the time or less. The vast majority of the time, to get along with others, we want to shoot for seeking agreement and rapport and common ground 80% of the time. If we're not able to do that, it either means we're being highly disagreeable or we're hanging out with the wrong company, and we need to find some people who we have something more in common with. And for that matter, in terms of your relations in your life with your peers or your family or a significant other, if you're not kind of in agreement with someone around 80% of the time, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. And if you're with someone who is breaking rapport with you more than 20% of the time, you need to get out of there quick. You need to get out of there quick. It's not going to be pleasant for you at all. It's just not good for your system. You need to be looking to find people who you're in agreement with around 80% of the time to really have a smooth, pleasant social experience. And that's all we got for today on English for Emerson. Bye-bye.